What's up, everybody? This is Jeremy. I'm here with Sione, my brother-in-law, and we are coming to you because this has actually been a long time coming. We had some things that we wanted to share with you over the next probably several months, I would guess here. But we'll start with today and get it going from there. But over the past few months, I've had a desire to share a little bit more from the experience that I've been able to gain through years in ministry, and then through having a chance to go on tour with someone who's spent a lot of years in ministry and learn from them as well. And there's just some things that I've picked up and I wanted to be able to share. So I was like, how in the world do we do that?
Because we've been talking about this for a while, because you've been living here in Australia for quite a while.
14 years, a long time.
And both of us are creative to some extent. And so we've been talking about how we can create something that will bless the body.
Yeah.
And we've been talking about that for a long time.
That's true.
Finally, we got together in January and did a recording. Only took us like 4 hours. And guess what? We didn't use any of it.
But this is the one.
But then,
not then.
It's not the full story, because in the next week, we're like, we'll knock this out of the park. So we went there the next week. Guess how much of that we used? None. Zero. But we have learned a lot. Thing is, we do believe there is something that we can share. And I was thinking about it because I've been editing videos for a while. I actually started in high school. And I've always had in my heart to make videos to share with people. Yeah. But then the idea is, because it's a lot of work doing videos. It's a lot of work doing music.
It's true.
And you do all this work and you're kind of like, well, who's going to listen to it?
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking that one day, and as I was thinking about it, God said to me, he's like, well, if it was enough to change the heart of one person, would that be enough? Yeah. God loved the whole world and sent his son for the one. And if you were the only person on earth, Jesus still would have come. I began thinking, I could make these videos for the one. And so the whole idea around for the one really stirred me up, because I'm like, if one person watches this, even if it's like my mom, and she's
love you, mom,
and she's blessed, well, then that's something. What I want to do, and I believe you're with me, is to inspire people to work out their own God-given gifts. Yeah. Because we're all here for a purpose. Ephesians 2:10 says we are all God's masterpieces. Yeah. And a masterpiece is to be put on display. And I think all of us have gifts and talents, but sometimes they're hidden away for years and they're not used.
And some of that is just deciding, hey, God did give me this gift, and when am I actually going to step forward and make it happen? Stop making excuses for why I wasn't doing it. Yeah. Say, I didn't have anyone to produce it for me or whatever. Yeah. That's an excuse. And I'm sure maybe some of you are listening and thinking right now of something that you have been sitting on that you could be using, some kind of creative way to share with your world the love that Jesus has for them.
I remember I started editing on Windows Movie Maker.
That's all.
Way back on the Pentium 1.4. I was so excited to get it. Oh, we had like the best computer.
Stellar graphics, no doubt.
Oh my goodness, amazing. At the time, and then I remember my dad bringing home the computer, and I was like, I'm going to edit videos. And so my first videos were with cartoons to R&B music. It was so good.
Stay tuned. Maybe you'll see a little bit of those in the next episode.
If I can find them, I'd love to show them. Because he'd be like, wow, if he can do that, I can do anything. But that's the thing. Like, you start with what you have, because then from Windows Movie Maker, then it was the next thing, then it was the next thing.
We know that for the last 6 to 8 weeks, we've been going through this isolation period where we have to stay home and everything like that, and there's a lot of fear out there in the world. And we talked probably about a month ago about creativity amid the chaos, amongst the chaos. Share a little bit about that before we get going here.
That also was the beginning of what we were trying to do, because I think you called me. I was stuck in Brisbane because I had come back from overseas and I had to self-isolate for a couple of weeks. And you were saying, well, what's something that we could do? And so we did an Instagram Live. We nearly shut down the system with that one.
Thank you to all three of you who joined. Thank you.
We talked about creativity in the midst of chaos, because it seems like everything is out of order. Everything's strange. But when we were talking, I told you I was reminded of Genesis 1 in verse 2. So Genesis 1:1, we all know that. If you don't, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. So God started everything. And then verse 2 though says, and then darkness covered the face of the deep. And you're kind of like, well, how does verse 1 and verse 2 connect? Because if God just created, how is there chaos? It's like, if you had just, it's like your first verse is, hey, I made this cake. And then when I turn around and turn back and the cake's on the ground, you're like, well, what happened? And so like there's this chaos, and you think that normally people would panic and be like, oh my goodness, what do I do now?
Yeah.
But in verse 3, it says, then God spoke.
Yeah, come on.
So God wasn't even concerned with the chaos, and he wasn't concerned that, oh man, things are going according to plan, or things don't look like I want them to look. He knew what was in him. I mean, it sounds like a silly statement. God knew what was inside of him. But hey, we're all created in the image of God. That's Genesis 1, 26 and 27. Like, we're all made in his image.
That's
so
right.
if he did it, we can do it.
That's right. So that just, I guess, just gives you a little brief rundown of what we're going to be talking about over the next several weeks. Hope you've enjoyed a little bit of the, I guess, unpacking of what we're going to be discussing today.
Comment, ask questions.
Yes.
We'd love to interact with you. We do believe that God has placed something in you.
Yeah.
And the whole point of this is to draw out the creativity that is in there.
For sure. And in the coming weeks, the first thing we're going to be talking about is I had a post that I put online. And it was something that I heard from someone else that I look up to and admire. And it was the phrase, always be ready. And then the question came to me, how do I do that? How am I always staying ready for every opportunity that might be coming up? So over the next couple of weeks, we're going to be talking about some really key thoughts and key points that we think are important to always staying ready. So hope you've enjoyed today, and don't forget to come back next week to find out point number 1 of how you stay ready.